Hello, and welcome back to the Calm and Connected podcast. I'm your host, Janine Halloran, and today I wanted to talk about some back to school tips for this uncertain time. So, I'm not going to really focus on whether or not it makes sense to go back to school remotely or in person full time or some sort of hybrid, because I think there's enough debate about that, and every school district is doing it differently, every state is handling it differently. But instead, I wanted to focus on coping strategies and a mindset that we can have so that it would be easier as we are going through this extremely challenging time. So, when COVID first happened, I wrote a whole blog post all about coping skills for COVID. And one of the first things I said was focusing on what you can control. And that still applies right now. We're still in COVID and we're still needing to make sure that we are focusing on what we can control versus what we can't control. We cannot control when decisions are made for schools. We cannot control whether it is the decision that makes sense for our family. But what we can control is how we respond and how we approach the situation. So I just think it's really important that we focus on, really emphasizing those things that we can control and focusing on our actions and our words and how we set up our homes to make it more easy for our kids to learn remotely if that is the way that we have to have them learn, and just in case to make sure that if something happens and they have to go full remote, if they start out going back to school full time, that's an easier transition. So you can control having a plan for what to do if schools do shut down again completely. So it's just one of those things. I think it makes sense to focus on what you can control and do what you can to make the transition as easy as possible for your kids. The next thing that I think makes a lot of sense is communication. And I mean communication with our families, communication with the school, and with others who are sort of in the same boat that we are in right now. So, one of the things that might be helpful is for you to write down questions and ask your kids to give you the questions that they have around school and going back to school and what does that look like. So, that way you can get your thoughts organized and you can figure out exactly what you need to have answered so that you can properly prepare. So you can ask your kids what their questions are and get the answers for those, and then you can figure out what your questions are and get those questions answered. So making sure that you communicate with your family to talk about what's going on, and then being able to put those questions to the school about, okay, so what does this mean and what does that mean and what does this look like? So you understand exactly what's going to be happening. And then you can also focus on helping your kids find the answers that they need and that they want. Another fantastic strategy I think right now to do is to talk about your feelings. Name it to tame it. So there are a lot of debates going around right now and a lot of heated feelings. A lot of people are upset and kids are feeling that too. Kids are upset. Maybe kids want to go back to school. Perhaps your kid really loved working remotely and now doesn't want to go back to school. All of these things, kids are having big emotions and reactions to them as well. So talk about your feelings as a family. Talk about what they are experiencing. Ask them what their thoughts are. Ask them what they're feeling. Ask them what they're feeling about going back to school, what they're feeling about COVID, what they're feeling about everything that's going on. And then you can share and model positive ways to handle stress and anxiety and all this uncertainty. One strategy I love to use is scheduling a time to worry. So sometimes with certain kids who are extra anxious, what I love to do is use a worry box. So I have them write down their worries and then rate how big the worry is on a scale of, 1 to 5 or 1 to 10. And then you place them in the box. Every day you do a check-in about these worries. Are the worries still the same? Is the worry still as big or has it gotten smaller? Is there a different worry? Are there some worries that we can be done with and move on and we can throw those worries out? And the beauty of this is that it gives you an opportunity to check in daily with your child about things. So, and for those kids who tend to worry throughout the day, what you can do is you can have them write down that worry, put it in the worry box, and let them know we will talk about that worry at that specific time. And that's your worry time. Remind them that they have that scheduled time to worry. So, they can write it down, and we will definitely talk about it at that scheduled time. So it gives you a time to connect, and it gives you, an opportunity to really understand how their worries are changing over time and what is their concern at the moment. So it's a really great strategy. Don Huebner actually has a whole book about what to do when you worry too much, and this is one of the strategies in that book. It's a great book. I highly recommend it, especially if kids are really anxious and worried about different things. It's a great place to start with kids. A couple other things that I just want you to remember, that this isn't forever. It feels like such a long time. Corona time feels expanded, and you never know what day it is. You never know what date it is. You don't even sometimes know what month it is. But it's not going to be forever. And it's going to be hard. That's the other thing. It's going to be hard. This is hard. This has been hard, but we can do hard things. It doesn't make it mean it is smooth or easy, but we can do it. We can do hard things. One thing that I think really makes sense to focus on is gratitude at this point. Finding the good where you can, focusing on the positive parts of the experiences that you have, focusing on something that you enjoy, that can go a long way as a family. Instead of constantly focusing on what's going wrong, focus and try and find what's going right as well. Along with that, I would say also find fun where you can. What is something fun for you? What is something fun for your family? What is something fun for your kids? Try and find something fun where you can. So maybe that's borrowing a new book, or finding a new podcast to listen to, or visiting someplace local you've never been before, or maybe you eat outside for dinner one night. Maybe you have a picnic, or you watch a favorite movie. But I just want to encourage you to find joy and fun where you can, because that is going to be such a help in terms of your own mental health as we continue to go through COVID-19. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. If you liked it, please feel free to share it with your friends and subscribe so that you get notified when new podcasts come out. Another way to support the podcast is to give us a rating or a review wherever you listen to the podcast. And one last thing, I don't want you to forget about yourself. Have an attitude of gratitude, and finding fun where you can is also about you. So I want you to take a few minutes, have a little fun, and have an awesome day.